Well, it wouldn't be NHL draft season without every single human being on the planet making an NHL mock draft. And for that exact reason, we're going to do one right now. Let's do an NHL mock draft, at least for the top 10. Arda, Ocal, and the draft analyst, Steve Kournianos. You ready for this?
Ready, let's do it.
Okay. You've done like about 1,000 of them
every year, yeah.
This is my first.
Okay.
So you can actually tell me whether I'm
I'll
doing
take
well
it easy on you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
I'll take it easy on you. I might make a face. You know.
So we'll know if your face, just by your expression alone. I'll go first because I know that the #1 pick is extremely difficult in this year's draft. Yeah. So the Buffalo Sabres are picking first. Very tough choice here with their first pick. They're going to pick, drum roll please, Rasmus Dahlin.
Good pick.
Wow, huge. Rasmus Dahlin. He's going to play game 1. That's my prediction.
You really went out on a limb there, though. You know.
3 assists in the first game. Season opener, 3 assists for Rasmus Dahlin. That's my prediction right there.
Quite cool.
Yeah, not bad. #2?
Carolina's got to take ANDREI SVECHNIKOV, power forward from Barrie in the OHL. He just fits that bill, that franchise-type winger. He's like a Patrick Laine or an Alex Ovechkin. He's going to score a lot of goals, especially if he's playing with Sebastian Aho. So I think it's a no-brainer for them. All right, ANDREI SVECHNIKOV is #2. We're going to go back and forth, by the way, until we get to the 10th pick. So Montreal Canadiens have #3. There are 2 salacious forwards that are available here. We got Filip Zadina and we got Brady Tkachuk. And yeah, knowledgeable Montreal Canadiens fans are salivating. They demand Filip Zadina. They see Filip Zadina in a Montreal Canadiens bleu, blanc, et rouge uniform. Les habitants, the fans, the hardcores want Filip Zadina, and for that reason I'm going to say with the #3 pick, Les habitants select Brady Tkachuk. That's right. That terrifies me. Just the fact, the way that Brady Tkachuk plays, I think he will make an immediate impact in a Montreal Canadiens uniform. As much as Filip Zadina would be a terrific player, I just look at that, I just visualize that situation, and I'm like, whoa, every other team in the league is going to be petrified to play against Brady Tkachuk and the Montreal Canadiens that season. Yeah, and you got to figure this with Brady Tkachuk is look at his brother Matthew and his father Keith. Pains to play against. So if the Canadiens want to have a character type of team, a bullish power forward that is really load to handle and can do a lot of the dirty things, plus reveal a lot of elite puck skills, you got that in Brady Tkachuk. I know it might not be a popular pick, but wouldn't be surprised if it does happen. And listen, Matt Tkachuk was one of the best power forwards in the game right now. He's only 20 years old, so you got a similar player like that in Brady. People are saying Brady is even more of an agitator than Matthew is. Yeah, more disciplined too. That's the key thing. He's a disciplined agitator, whereas Matt, is willing to drive up those PIMs. And listen, did I make that pick because I wanted to troll Canadiens fans a little bit? Maybe. I don't know. Who's #4? Listen, it's a tough year in Ottawa. They got a lot of tough decisions to make. If Filip Zadina is available at 4, you have to take him. If he's not there, then you got to go with the defenseman like Adam BOUCHARD. But I think if Zadina is available at 4th overall, it's a slam dunk pick, too easy. 200-foot winger, competes hard, excellent shot, could be a goal scorer as well. They just need a little bit of excitement in Ottawa right now, and I think he fits that bill. So that's interesting because a lot of people are grouping 2, 3, and 4 with those 3 forwards that we just mentioned, right? Svechnikov probably #2, Zadina and Tkachuk interchangeable in terms of 3 and 4. But you're saying if there's a possibility that at the #4 pick, the Senators might go with a defenseman? Yeah, absolutely. Listen, it all depends on Erik Karlsson, and I know that you want to be a reactionary drafter, but it just, to me, makes sense when you have a guy like Karlsson, whether he stays or not, you want to kind of have a seamless transition into the next era. And a guy like Adam BOUCHARD or even Quinn Hughes, or really any of the defensemen within that top tier after Dahlin, they could be that building block down the road. Now, they have Thomas Chabot, who's already there, and he's an excellent prospect, but you want to kind of make that powerful combination, almost like a Leach Zubov from the mid-'90s, where you have 2 guys that run that power play and put up a lot of points and make life easy for your forwards. The 5th pick is owned by the Arizona Coyotes. I'm going to go with Quinn Hughes. You mentioned Adam BOQVIST there. That might be an interesting pick for the Coyotes to pick between those 2 defensemen as perhaps the top 2 available at the #5 position. Let's go Quinn Hughes, one of the, if not the best, one of the best skaters in the draft. And just to visualize him playing with Oliver Ekman-Larsson, playing with Clayton Keller, and the Coyotes, despite the fact that they had a abysmal first half of the season, the second half of the season wasn't that bad. It wasn't.
when you look at it, it's almost night and day. So there are a lot of positive pieces. Antti Ranta and Ned, of course, Rangers fan, very familiar with Antti Ranta. A very positive force between the pipes. So there is a lot to be excited about if you're a Coyotes fan. So I'm putting Quinn Hughes in that position. How's number 6?
Yeah, I think if you look at the Red Wings and their history drafting Swedish players and having successful Swedish defensemen in their organization, guys like Nicholas Lidstrom, plus Chris Rockstrom and Håkan Andersson, who've done a great job scouting Sweden for them. This is a no-brainer for me. It's Adam BOQVIST. He's a Swedish kid. He's electrifying with the puck. Has a ridiculous release, a very hard shot, power play quarterback. He really answers a lot of their questions in terms of creating plays from the back end, but also he's very good in the possession game as well. Not very big, but just an electrifying player that brings you out of your seat.
Speaking of Swedish players drafted by the Detroit Red Wings, I believe that Henrik Zetterberg is the highest draft pick to ever win the Conn Smythe Trophy.
Yeah, he was a pretty late round pick.
And if I'm wrong, you can tell me on Twitter. I'm sure that you'll tell me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that's true, though. Anyhow, we're going to number 7. That's the Vancouver Canucks. I'm going Evan Bouchard on this one. 87 points. Put a lot of points up on the board this season, playing for the London Knights in the OHL. I feel like he would complement the Vancouver Canucks forwards very well. Brock Besser and company. There's going to be a lot of synergy there. I can see an immediate impact for Evan Bouchard wearing a Canucks uniform, and it would be nice to see some more stars play in the Pacific Northwest, particularly in Vancouver. Who do you have at number 8?
All right, number 8, we got the Chicago Blackhawks, and again, they could go either way here. They really do need defensemen, but at the same time, they need forwards. I think if you watch Noah Dobson and the defenseman for Acadie Bathurst, how he played in the Memorial Cup, he made the All-Memorial Cup team. Just a wonderful two-way defenseman. He's arguably the best one-on-one defender in the draft, but as we saw in the Memorial Cup, he puts up a lot of points as well, so I think it's an easy pick for them.
And if I'm the New York Rangers picking at number 9, I think I'm strutting to the stage, very happy at who is available at number 9. If that is the case, Oliver Wahlstrom right there, like a low-hanging fruit, like a ripe apple ready to be picked and placed into the basket. A lot of Boston connection there, of course. There's a lot of Boston connection with the New York Rangers. Jeff Gorton, general manager. David Quinn, new head coach. Boston University, of course. And Wahlstrom pledging to play for Boston College. A lot of Boston College players on the Rangers roster, particularly Kevin Hayes and Chris Kreider. We saw Jimmy Vesey playing for Harvard. I mean, the list is long.
Sure.
So I feel like Wahlstrom might be a player that fits very well in that Rangers organization. And with a guy like David Quinn, who is known to bring the best out of prospects and working with the young players, bringing the best out of them and finding their strengths and weaknesses and working well with that, I really feel that's a really good match.
It would be. And Ranger fans would fall in love with him instantly. He's just a great bull of a power forward with a great shot. The Rangers haven't drafted a high-volume scoring winger in a long time. Originally drafted by the Rangers, so I think he's got that 30, 35 goal potential.
Number 10.
Our Edmonton Oilers, they've drafted a lot of wingers lately. I think they really need that power play quarterback. I don't know how a power play with Connor McDavid struggles, but they've seemed to struggle this past season. So
how does that happen?
How does that happen? There are 2 defensemen. They could go either way here. It could be either Ty Smith out of Spokane or Rasmus Sandin with Sault Ste. Marie in the OHL. I think they go with Rasmus Sandin. He's just a phenomenal puck mover. In addition to that, like Dobson, he's an excellent one-on-one defender as well, understands his positioning, has slot coverage, doesn't really wander from the puck, and makes the right read. So really smart, mature player. He'll be a perfect complement to the attack they got going on in Edmonton.
So if our mock draft is correct, and we can assume that it 100% will be, this will probably be the first time in NHL history that 2 players named Rasmus will be in the top 10.
Yeah, maybe
Pretty
even
safe.
3 if Rasmus Kupari cracks it, but not based off our mock.
Any names that did not crack this top 10 that you could see going top 10 in the actual NHL draft?
Well, there's 2 forwards that come to mind. Number 1 is JESPERI KOTKANIEMI, who's a winger, but his natural position is center. So if he does get drafted, you could say that he's a center that got drafted in the top 10. Very mature player, great playmaker. He played in the Finnish Elite League. His production as a 17, 18-year-old is similar to what Mikko Rantanen did for TPS back in 2015. He had a phenomenal under-18 World Championship, so I think you got to look at him as that mature, immediate impact player. And then you got, in terms of centers, you got Joe Veleno, exceptional status. He was a high draft pick in the Quebec League, super fast. He's a Matt Duchene type of skater. He's got size. His compete level's off the charts. He's also more of a playmaker than a shooter. So those 2 guys, if teams want mature NHL-ready guys, those 2 forwards might crack the top 10 and then bump some of those defensemen out, which would fit great for the Islanders, who are looking for a defenseman.
So let's talk about the Islanders' picks. We did our top 10, but the Islanders, of course, have 11 and 12. So based on our mock draft here, who would you say two names would be that the Islanders would be looking at in those positions?
Well, I think from a defensive standpoint, if Ty Smith or Rasmus Sandin don't make the top 10, remember, we had that tier after Rasmus Dahlin. If one of those defensemen fall out, or even a guy might fall, a guy like Evan Bouchard because of his skating, or maybe Noah Dobson because they think his upside offensively is a little bit limited, then it would be an easy choice for the Islanders to make. You take one of those defensemen with top pairing upside. At the same time, I don't think the Islanders necessarily need a goal-scoring winger. They got some pretty good finishers, not only at the NHL level, but also in the pipeline. I think you have to draft a center, whether you start him out as a third-line center. But in that regard, you have Joe Veleno, who we talked about, Rasmus Kupari, who's a really good Finnish center, played in the Finnish Elite League, has a lot of upside, almost like a Derek Stepan type. And then you have Barrett HAYTON, who plays for the Sioux, was Rasmus Sandin's teammate, outstanding 200-foot center with a lot of flair to his game. A little bit different than Matt Barzal, but a similar type player in terms of the way he does some flashy things with the puck.
We could do a mock draft 1,000 times and get 1,000 different lists. Perhaps this year especially, the only constant would be that Rasmus Dahlin will go #1.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything else, total coin flip.